That's ha. Hello, everybody. Is everybody doing okay?
Hi.
Maj. Piv a choch. Chja, Robert. Chja.
Hija.
Tiago, bekrak a. Bekrak a.
Ja. Hija. Hisha.
Jishak. Jishak.
Nee.
Jikrak.
Jikrak. Ja, jikrak.
Right lip. Bekrak a. Chja, Robert. Maj. Caitlin, bekrak a.
Ija, jikak.
Maj. Chebo, bekrak a. Par bekrak a.
But can you say krak in the meaning I'm good, like in the English good? But I thought it was more like good, quality or something.
Yeah, people do. It's not very Klingon, but I'm not a Klingon, so. If you really want to make it like about how you're doing, then you could, and you want to make it more specific that way, make it less Englishy, then you could say maybe something like that. Again, it's not very Klingon-y to ask, but and you would respond, my status is good. Cool. So y'all, let's just take us through what we did last week. It was like a gazillion years ago. Anybody? Right, lit. You want to take us through a revision of what we did last week real quick? Pekoilach bet. Pekoilach bet. Can anybody else hear? No? Okay.
I can hear, but you cut off right at the beginning of your question. So
my microphone is on mute.
Oh, Maj.
Cool.
We can hear you. Maj. Wat ret. 1 week ago.
I remember we reviewed numbers. That's what I was saying.
Maj, yeah. Maj, what else?
some of the question words as well.
Yeah, we went over some question words, and then another thing we did was we looked at so how to use question words, and we looked at some of the verb suffixes that we had glossed over for the sake of time. And if I remember correctly, last week we talked about the indefinite subject, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is oftentimes kind of like depicted as like a very scary monster, but it is not. It's okay. It's pretty tame once you get used to it. It's okay to think of it as the passive voice, but just know that that's more of like a shorthand to describe what it is rather than an accurate depiction. So, when you translate loup, so l'air loup, it is seen. That's really just for the sake of fluidity in English, right? It's actually an indefinite subject is seen, right? Or an indefinite subject sees. There we go. There you go. There's nothing passive about Klingon. Cool. And then we also learned the word for vak, right? The word for 100. So watvak, chatvak, wedvak, vagvak, javvak, shochvak, chorchvak, hutvak. And that's really important today to know mach, 10, and vak, 100. Because today we are going to talk about how to tell time in Klingon. Yay. And that is something that you're just going to have to practice. Real quick question. Did anybody have any questions about the worksheet that I sent out? No? It was super clear to everybody?
I like that it had an answer key.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know the previous
help it
ones
out.
did or not, but I noticed it on this one.
Yeah. And did anybody else, did any of y'all, yeah. Oh, are you raising your hand, or are you just adjusting your monitor? Okay.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand, but Tiago wanted to say something because he appeared.
Oh.
I remember that we talked about this, but where are you? It's good to say nuktak shochtach. In the key it was nuktak shoch. Can I also say nuktak shochtach?
Yeah, you could. Not really necessary though. For whatever reason, when you have like nuke or we have nukdak, for whatever reason, it doesn't. Sometimes, like in canonical phrases, it doesn't take the tach. So even if it's something that's like movable, right? So like in yeah. What else is that? Yeah. So when you say nukdak, just know it's not completely necessary to add the tach, as far as we know.
But is it correct to add tach or not?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's correct.
Yeah.
It's not incorrect.
It's not incorrect.
Yeah.
As far as we know. As far as we know, it's not incorrect. Cool. What about those countries? Is everybody?
I had a question backing up for number 24. It looks like he's writing something. I'm wondering why we don't put tah in that because of the writing being ongoing.
You could put a tach on there. It means two different things, and you're right. In the English, I suppose it is progressive ongoing. I just didn't add it in because we haven't covered aspect yet, but you're right. It could be tach. I guess what I wrote was what did I write? I wrote it appears that he writes something, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
That just sounded weird to me in English, so I wrote down he is writing. But yeah, you're right. Tach would be more appropriate if you were translating that from English.
Okay. That was my only question from it.
Cool. Let's launch into countries first, and then exclamations and what was the other thing I wanted to cover? Time. That's it. Okay, so countries. Yukkhed is the Klingon word for geography. Can anybody identify what its compound word, right? Can anybody identify what those two parts that make it up mean?
Yuk. Planet.
Right.
I believe.
Yeah.
Ched is science.
Right. So planet science, geography. And rather than giving y'all a list of, Klingon or Star Trek related places, places that you don't really talk about, except for in Star Trek related contexts, I thought it would be useful to give y'all a list of countries for which we have Klingon transliterations, canonical transliterations. So the thing, this looks like a very long list, and I understand if this looks intimidating. However, it becomes less long if you just learn the countries by, how often you use them. So if you live Khebo, Shuberyatnadab et Bishov, Polish Kakangan Shoch, Vaj, Raitan, Lit, Polish-ka, Shuverya, Kara. So, it's I believe you're in Sweden, and I believe you're from Poland, right? So those are probably two place names that are going to be more useful to you than
Below.
I'm sorry.
Below.
There you go. Caitlin and Reitle, y'all are in the United States, I think. So Amerika, just get to incorporate that in your vocabulary. Also, there are canonical place names for cities as well, for a limited amount of cities, but there are cities that have transliterations. So Paris, Paris, Berlin, Berlin, Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C., New York, right? We remember that a lot of times. Oh, let me change my name. I always am Jackson Bradley. What are some other city names that we have? Hamburg, so on and so forth. London. So anyway, Quebec Bang. That's me. I asked for that. People were like, why the hell do we have a word for Quebec City? So yeah, and that's the way that I learned them. I learned them through saying, Destukjich et Amerika shepjij kapnan jich. Virash chol vijat, right? So to say that someone is an inhabitant of or a citizen of a country, it's really freaking easy in Klingon. You just add ngan to the end of it. Who can tell me what the word ngan means, just all by itself?
Inhabitant.
Yeah. And when it's a suffix, it means like, the man suffix on Frenchman, or the, ish suffix, or n. So, American, Amerika, Canadian, so it becomes really easy, and there's no exceptions to this. This is just the way it is. The only place where it gets weird is if a country ends with if the last consonant is an N or an I. The ngai that starts on is going to absorb that. They're going to smush together and become a single letter. So the German would be Deutschlangan, right, rather than Deutschlangan, right? Just for sake of facility of speech.
Why is that not listed as a noun suffix then?
It's a really good question. That's a really good question.
Is it more of a compound noun than a suffix?
Yeah, it's more one of those things. It's not exactly a mojok, but it's kind of a mojok. It's not a mojok per se, but it acts like one. I like to think of it as a suffix. And then similarly, there's no in English, we have there's England, and then there's English, and then Germany in German. I'm trying to think of one that's really weird. I don't know, France and French. So you just have to learn the what the place is, and then what the language is called, which is usually related, but it can be a little bit weird, and there are some patterns, but there's no way to know until you actually learn it, right? Which pattern. Well, in Klingon, it's very easy. What you do is you put the country, the origin place of the language, and then you put the word chol together. So it's the France language, Virash chol. Canada language. There was a Canadian language. Portugal chol, Portuguese, right? Portugal language. Jungwo, China, Chol, China language, Chinese.
Does that also include dialects? So Morshikan, Chol, would that be correct?
Some people say that. So there's another word for dialect, and it's Chol, language, Shar. which can be it's two words. It has two different glosses. So as a noun, as a verb, it means to be varied, to be various. Shar as a noun means a variation or a variety. So chol shar is a language variety, in other words, a dialect. So something like that, you might say, Mo'rish ka chol shar, right? Quebec chol shar, Quebec dialect. I'm trying to think of something else, but yeah, Belgia chol shar, the Belgian dialect, which I guess could refer to either. Oh no, it's two words rather than one word. So there's this. I saw your question in the comments. Yeah, so it's chol space shar, rather than a smushed compound. That's the technical term, a smushed compound. So there you go. And then if somebody is, so let's say that you have a voot-wit. Voot. What is voot?
Is that food?
Close. It's to cook.
Oh,
Woot.
Or to prepare food. So it's not necessarily the act of cooking it. It could,
right.
like you could voot sushi, right? You're just preparing it to be served. And in fact, that's more likely to be the case if there were real Klingons, since Klingons don't like burned meat. So, so voot wit is a cook. So let's say you have a cook and he is Dutch. Which one is correct? Nederland voet wit or Nederland voet wit? You want to take a stab at it?
Second one.
Yeah, the second one. Right. Yeah, the first
Because
one.
it's the cook of the Dutch.
Right, exactly. It's the cook of, yeah, right. The first one is Nederland voet wit. So yeah, the Dutchman's cook, right? So that would be appropriate if you were talking about a cook that worked for the Dutchman or whatever. But then Nederland wit would be someone who is Dutch and who is a cook. That's pretty simple. Do y'all have any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Okay, and I hope in the future we get more transliterations for other Karen countries, because right now we only have like a small fraction of, I think we have like 50 or so. It's a pretty good number, but it's not anywhere close to how much we need. Let's talk about exclamations. So these are really simple, right? They're they're expressions that are stand-alone sentences in and of themselves, right? So we already know a lot. Robert, geslach, right? Ga, let's go. Ga, say that one all the time. Loop and loop, which are exactly the same. It's just a question of which one you want to use, question of taste. I tend to want to use loop and loop and all those other ones, like I like to sprinkle them around. So if I'm writing a text and I've already used loop like twice, I'll throw in a loop just to have the variation. So the difference between chija and loop is that chija and chishlach are responses to a question, but loop and loop are yes in the sense of like, all right, like I'll do it, like you've commanded me to do something, let's do it, or you've proposed something and I say, loop, let's do it, right? Like it's like all right, yeah, or yes sir. Maj, right? Maj kha. We've already gone over nuknech. Pitch is a really good one to know. You can say it just means done. It's whenever you're at the end of a task. Kop. We've gone over that before as a suffix, right? As a rover, it means a refusal of something or don't, right? Yajach kop, don't go. don't write. But as a single word, it just means like, no way, I'm not going to do it. I refuse. No. So again, it's different from a robat. Right? Robat is, no, you ask me a yes/no question, and the answer is no, the negative response. And khot is, you've commanded me to do something, and I don't want it. And then we have a bunch of words for to be ready. So there's shuch, shuk, ech, and my favorite, and these are all the same, as I said. I like to sprinkle them in and just, I don't get to use any of these 4 words very much, so I try to put in them into my speech as much as I can, but it's not always possible. And toch. Toch is a really good word to have. It means so, but not in the sense of I think, therefore, AKA so I am. It's so as in like aha, so, or like you're reacting to something. Well, right? It's like if you find out some like juicy information. Wedgepoech means charming. Usually you'll say it after somebody says, something sarcastic. It could be like, I don't know, what's the 7th season of Game of Thrones was awesome. Wedgepoech, right? You're showing that you don't think, you think what has been said is not good, not true, or you're mocking it. There you go. And then the other thing that falls into the category of exclamations is, of course, everybody's favorite subject when they learn a foreign language, cursing. Cursing is really fun in Klingon. I totally recommend that you do it. If you drive, that's a perfect opportunity to practice cursing, because it's a really good way of practicing your Klingon. Practicing a lot of those harder sounds like k, r, ch, and it's also really, really satisfying. So in the book here, they have only a couple listed. They have yach, ruitcha, kutvach. Here, there's just cursing symbols right next to them. We have learned some stuff about Klingon curses. They remain untranslatable. However, we do know that kutvach is like something that you say when you're angry. Yach, and I think kutvach is a reference to something, but I can't remember what. Oh no, this word.
Like too many people.
Well, there's another word, chukvar, which means too many people in the same place. And I believe that is a joke about I-95, which is a highway in the United States. And I believe that runs through Washington, correct?
Yeah, I think it's east-west.
Yeah. And I think Mark Okrand was stuck on I-95, so chukvar. So there's traffic on I-95. But that's a completely different word. But anyway, chukvar, while we're on the topic, chukvar, people tend to, for whatever reason, people get chutvach and chukvar mixed up. Chutvach is a curse word that you say when you're really frustrated, and chutvar is a noun, which means too many people or things in the same place. So often it's used to talk about traffic, but it could also mean like a big crowd. And I guess part of the reason is they kind of sound similar-ish, and then also you use them often in the same context, right? Because you might be frustrated when there's chutva around, so you might say chutvach. Yach is known to be one of the foulest things to say in Klingon.
Can you write those ones that weren't in a dictionary? So
Oh, they're in the dictionary. Yeah, this on this page right here. These are the 3 that are written down.
Oh yeah, okay, right. This one I don't remember. The last one. Okay, that's why.
Yeah. Tlh'yach, tlh'cha. So tlh'yach is a little bit. We can make an analogy to the F word, basically. Tlh'cha is another good one. Yeah, and then let's talk about the other ones, because unfortunately we only have a couple written down in the dictionary, but we do have others.
I was surprised that patak wasn't in the dictionary, or in that section, I should say.
How can I get?
Well, it's not so much of an explanation or expletive in that sense.
Yeah, it's more of. I mean, it is a rude thing to say.
She might.
Cool. Okay, so other curses. So you just mentioned the one that anybody who doesn't speak Klingon knows this word. This and kapla are 2 words that unfortunately gets used so often outside of Klingon circles that, like, I don't know. For me, I never use patak because it's just been so mispronounced over the years. It's like, but patak, it's like bastard, or Tochach. This is another insult. This is an epithet that you'd call somebody. It's kind of like bastard, asshole, something. It's not a nice thing to call somebody. Tochach. That's another good one. Bakap. Bakap means like damn shit. Va. Va is perhaps the tamest out of all of these. Now, this is headcanon, right? This is not something that's official, but va is just such a short word, and it just flows so easily out of the mouth that I can't really, I don't know. It doesn't seem very vulgar at all, and you hear it so often. So va is a pretty good one. More and more recently, and this is just myself, so we have, in English we have the word wow. In Klingon we really don't have the word wow, but because these 2 words sound so similar, I kind of tend to use them in the same contexts. So when somebody tells me like, oh, just real bad, ek, puchduj, echt cool, I just bought a really cool car. Be like, va, techbet, whoa, it can't be true, right? Va.
Almost like a holy shit, as opposed to just saying shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I tend to use it. And that's just me, but, develop your own kuvyach, develop your own habits with them. Klingon also has this really cool word, jite, and it makes whatever you say into whatever the previous sentence is into a vulgarity. So let me try to think of an example. So in Klingon, let's say that you are on a chetron. What's a chetron? Battlefield. Chetron. Let's say you're on a chetron and you're shuving, right? Beshuv, edge pipe. Ah! Nakjedge! There's a spear coming. It's loch obwidge duke. It stabs me in the chest. I can just say, Jecher, I'm dying. Or you could say, Jecher, I'm dying, damn it. Right? It just adds, it's like a damn it or fuck, right, onto whatever you're saying. Jecher, I'm dying, damn it. Or shit, I'm dying. Jipuk, jite, I'm fucking fed up, right? Versus Jipuk, I'm fed up. Jipuk, jite, right? It just makes whatever you say into a vulgarity. It's like adding "damn it" into an English phrase. You can kind of, in English, you can kind of add it anywhere, but in Klingon, it's always going to come at the end of the phrase. So, Muler Jait, he sees me, damn it. Jekhet Jait, I run, damn it. Shop Jait, I'm eating gach, damn it. Right? Works with anything. Cool. Cool. I'm also going to mention that Baka has recently gotten a new gloss, so it can mean just a general curse word. But let's say you're in a muchpa, nukoch, muchpa at, nukoch, muchpa.
Translation room?
No, close.
Oh, okay.
Viewing room. Viewing room.
I'm sorry.
Viewing room. Presentation room.
Yeah, or an auditorium, right, or a theater.
Theater.
And cinema.
Yeah, I mean, for cinema, I tend to say a screen theater. Muchpa theater, screen theater. So baka. So let's say you're in a muchpa or a chashta muchpa. Edge bebedge, watching. Edge chet, right that cloj. You slowly realize something. Chiv kakvam. This shit is awful, right? This shit is inferior. Edge bikram, you stand up. Edge bijat, baka. So it's like boo, baka, right? It's like boo, hiss, right? So it's an exclamation for when you don't like something, right? I think it's bad. There you go.
But if I would be booing, then I would lose the kahwe. Because it would be like baka, and then I'm losing the kahwe.
No, you can say baka, right?
Okay.
You're right. I was not saying the kahwe as I probably should have. But ideally, you say baka, right? Goon. Let's see. Everybody read over question words? Yeah? Anybody have any questions on those? No? Khebo, do you want to run me through how to say who, what, and when?
Who is if, what, nuk, and when, wait, yeah, ror.
Ror, yeah, good. Much.
Ror.
Yeah. How would you say, who are you?
Wait, is it nuk ew or is it ew nuk ew? Nuk ew.
If.
No.
But that would be.
Well, no, who is
what?
it?
What that would be.
Ew shach.
Remember,
No, oh my god. I don't wait.
not
No.
There's no a Y at the end, there's a vi, right? So iv, shoch iv.
Ah yeah, right. It's not blood. I always mix blood and who when I'm talking.
How would you say, what is this thing?
Nuk och dutram.
That's kha. And how would you say, when will we meet in the pub?
Pub, can I say restaurant? No, wait, how's it pub? Or catch is more like a pub? No, catch is a building. I don't know how to say the pub. I don't remember.
Touch.
Catch.
Mhm.
All right, so I was thinking catch, but catch is a building. Catch is a catch. When we meet in the pub, ror catch, catch. Sorry, ror catchdag marom.
That's almost that. That's almost there. You said, when will we meet in the building? right? Instead of, you said kach instead of touch, right? So
Attach. Okay.
touch.
Ror catch dark mahom.
Much. Okay, so we went who, what, when. Chiago, can you tell me for, let's see, who, what, when. Can you tell me the words for where and why?
Yeah. Where nukdak and why chai? Oh, kak.
Hot. Yeah. Let's see here. Can you tell me how to say, where is my, do you know the word for cell phone in Klingon?
No.
Okay. It's really easy. It's just the word for communicator.
Kromwe?
Khumwe.
Kromwe. Okay.
Mhm.
And
So-
what is the sentence again? Sorry.
Where is my cell phone?
Okay. Nuktak ochtag krom we
Khum. It sounds like
krom. Yeah. Krom we
much.
So the ta would be on the O in this case because the cell phone can change locations rather than having a set
You
location.
really don't need the tach. It's fine as nukdak tach khum bridge at, but you really are more gonna say nukdak och khum wedge at. Let's see, and what was the other, where and what? Can you tell me how to say why are you, plural, why are y'all late?
Late. What are the words for late?
Posh.
Pash. Okay. Kak. Shupash. Yeah. Pash.
Who, what, when, where, why. I have to do this every time I think of like the order of the alphabet. Who, what, when, where, why, how many. Okay. Right lit. You tell me the word for how, please.
How is that torch?
Hold that.
No, that's 8.
You like. Guess again.
I don't think I wrote that one down.
It starts with the same letter.
Chai.
Yeah. Chai at yai kachwit. You tell me how to say how. I'm trying to think here.
Chai.
How is it written?
Chai. Get. Rik. Chai. Rik. Tu.
Lu.
Lu.
Chai. Right. This is
Rik. Lu.
yeah, good. And then Caitlin, can you tell me how to say the word for how many?
Ar.
Not. And can you tell me how would I say how much water do we have?
Oh boy. Bik ar maraj. Raj.
You have almost all of it correct. The only part, and you're totally fine on this, is you're missing you don't have the correct prefix. So the correct prefix for we, do something to him, her, it,
Oh.
is we, right? So with.
Yes, that was a dumb mistake.
Hold back! The muj. Bik ar wiraj. Raj. One more time to redeem yourself. Let's think here. How how much fuel do I have?
Oh,
You know what the
fuel.
word for fuel is?
Nin?
Nin.
Nin.
Maj. Yeah, nin. So it would be, how much fuel do I have? It's a strange question.
Nin ar virage.
Maj. Raj.
Raj.
I hear like a French R, you know, like in rouge. It's a lot harder than that. J. Virage.
Viraj.
Yeah.
Viraj.
And then make sure that it doesn't err too much on the side of ch, right? Because, and that's something that I struggle with. Sometimes
Raj.
I want to say Raj,
Raj.
when somebody hears me saying like Raj, right? Which is not the same. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So let's get into talking about time in Klingon. I understand that telling time is not the most thrilling thing in the world. Please bear with me. So, and to talk about telling time, we're going to have to learn a brand new question word, but don't worry because it adds together elements that we've already studied. Who can remember what this little suffix does? Log.
Fraction?
It means the amount of times, right? It means time. So watlor is once, chatlor twice,
Repetition.
and so on and so forth. Say, you could say, shoch, shad, yadvak, chatlor, 1,303 times. So lor. And then we have the word that we just covered, ar, which means
How many?
How many?
What would you guess the Jewish, the gloss of this is, this word?
How many?
How many times?
Yeah, how many times? This is going to be a very important word as we get into learning about time, because it is the basic way to tell time in Klingon, to ask for time in Klingon. So to ask for time in Klingon, you ask Arlor Holu. What's this poop? What's this? We got how many times? What's this verb here? Koi.
Here.
Here, yeah.
How many times has it been heard?
Right. This is the aspects of it that we haven't covered yet, but y'all probably know about it or have studied it before. Poop just means that it's a finished action. It's not exactly like past tense because there's no tense in Klingon, but it's like something. It's happened. Completed action. Yeah. So as Caitlin points out, can you tell us again what you said?
How many times has it been heard?
Yep. That's literally what you're saying. In a universe where Klingons exist, the it might have been Bosch in May, right? Bosch in May in a bell, specifically a metal one, right? So perhaps on every hour a bell was rung, so putting them out the hour, right? Much as it still does for a lot of us, right? And you count how many times you've heard it. So how many times has it been heard? And then the answer to this is you take out the R and you put in whatever the number is, it doesn't become a question. It's just a statement. Chatlor, Khoilupu, Wedgelor, Loshlor, Raglor, Shochlor, Watmach, Chatlor, right? So it's been heard 12 times. It's 12 o'clock, right? So this lor almost takes on this second meaning of o'clock.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Arlor Khulupu. And then and so this is how you say o'clock. And Klingons use a 24-hour day clock. So when you say Varlor Khulupu, you're saying it's 5 o'clock. So is it 5 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock at night?
In the morning in this case.
Right. If you're speaking to an American Klingonist, they might say Varlor Khulupu, meaning 5 o'clock in the evening. And that's, you're just going to have to know who you're speaking to and whether or not they have adapted to using the 24-hour clock or they haven't. But absolute way that you're going to know which one is which is by using the 24-hour clock. So Watmach Shochloch Kholupu. So it's been heard 17 times, aka it's 5 o'clock, right? Cool.
I just wanted to say that because I'm not from the US, you guys are, most of you are, but you can use the 24 hours clock there as well, right? I mean, at least in the military, you say like 1700 hours.
Yeah, it sounds really weird to say.
In Star Trek, they're using that in Star Trek, 1700 hours. And,
yeah, that's very militaristic. Like that's like something that the military does for clarity's sake. And you might write that. Yeah, it's a little formal. I don't know. I don't tend to say. I don't use the 24-hour clock except when speaking another language, not English. I don't know about the other Americans in the group, but
I mean, I was in the military, so I can translate easily between the two of them, but I don't like speak it.
okay. So you might be asking yourself. So you can use the 12-hour clock if you want. That's okay. Just know that you might be misunderstood if you say "vachlo." You might understand. Same as in French, we have this problem, right? Where people use both, and then you just which or at least Canadian French. I don't know what they do in France. Okay, so now you're probably asking yourself, okay, well, Deshdu, how do I say 1534, 334? 334. There we go. Well, the way you do this is a little bit different. So this is one way to say what time is it in Klingon. But there are other ways to request the time. But they're questions. So you say rep yiper. Can anybody tell me what this here means?
Does that tell the time?
Yeah, so rep means hour.
or
Ye is that imperative prefix, right? Per means what? Can we tell me what per means? It's a verb, right? Because it's got a prefix on it.
To label.
Yeah, to label. So you're telling them to label. It's literally, but the actual translation would be something more fluid. Would be what's the time or how many time, right? And the answer to that can be two different things. So for that, before I go to Kosh, you can just, so somebody asks you, or commands you rather, right? In Klingon, there are lots of instances where, you know, in English it would be a question, but in Klingon it's much more appropriate for it to be a command. So at the beginning, something more Klingon-y that I could have said instead of "B'kha, are you good?" I could have said tlhIngan. Identify your status, right? But really, I want to know about how you're doing, right? So the way you could say this is what was our example earlier? Wedgemach, right? Wedgemach losh. Right? So our 15. Yeah. So our 15, 34, right? Or you could say watmach vag vak rep. Watmach vag vak wedgemach losh rep. So say 1500 13 or 34 hour, right? Or hours. It's literally a word for word translation or calc of what we say in English, which is 1534 hours, right? It's the exact same thing. You can just say that, or you can say kash watmach vagvat wedgemach losh rep. I personally prefer to add the kash because it makes it a complete sentence, whereas this is just, I mean, you're literally just stating the hour. So watmach vagvat wedgemach losh rep, right? And then this also is good to know because you can say kash de watmach vagvat wedgemach losh rep. Bar, right?
So sorry, what was the cash date?
So kashdit, when 1534 hours happens, then we'll meet in the bar. And that's it. There you go. Anybody have any questions?
I have a little question as usual.
Okay, that's fine.
The first example of how we can say that was without using the VAC. So is it optional to use the VAC or not? First it was like rep, watmach, var, wedgemach, losh.
Yeah.
So is it optional to say, to add the VAC in that case, or would you say that?
To be honest with you, I often do not see this form. I would stick with the second one that we did, but I did find
with the VAC, including the VAC.
I've seen this first form before, where the rep comes first, and then I think this is on Chol Ampash that I've seen this, and so I don't tend to use this form like at all. I tend to stick with the other one because it's easier to parse, you know, what you're saying with the vat, whereas with the mach, it's like, I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. So rep, chapmach, shoch is 827, right? So 20, and then 27, right? Hour, 20 and 27, right? Because when you say a noun plus a number, it becomes number whatever. So rep wa. So hour number 1, right? Is how you translate that. Torpedo tube number 3. Right? And that's kind of what's happening here. Rep chapmach shosh. Hour number 27. But And you can use that, and I don't believe that you use the vat. And again, I don't really use that. I tend to use. So we're saying 827. Then I'd say chop mach vat, chop mach like that. Again, for the sake of parsing it. Right? There you go. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So we don't say at all about minutes. We just say it's exactly as you told here. Wat maar, sorry. Wat maar waar, wat maar los, directly. So rep wat maar waar, wat maar los.
Yeah. Something like that.
There is no tuk at all there. Okay.
But the other way to say that is wat mach wat wat, which mach los. This is the only instance where this vat is going to come on the same like number as a mach thing, right? That's not going to happen in any other place. Right lit. Gorg touchdak magom. Gorg.
Każdy wedgewak rep touchdock makech.
Kich. Oh. At which chama kich chuk. Wow. Va. Pas kutachvish rep. Touch dajach shoch. You go to the bar really late. Watlo touchdock machtach jich archadja. Edge patmarat edge loshlo khuluput de mamejnish khap betshoch mo touch. One time Archa and myself, who's another Klingonist, myself were in a bar and we shut it down because we stayed in there until 4 in the morning, which is pretty fun. Speaking Klingon. Yeah. Okay. Chebo Ror Klingon Chol Dachad.
And it's in the morning, yes?
Yeah. It could be either, whichever.
Yeah. Do I still use vak even if it's yeah, I should still use vak.
Remember when you can say Shochvat.
Okay. So yeah. So no wait. Kasti short vat rep Klingon hol vichard.
Also remember that you can say Arlor Khuluputde, right? Or sorry, Shochlor Khuluputde. When you're saying on the hour stuff, it's much more common to use that lor Khuluput because it's on the hour. I mean, it's the same difference between saying 7 and 7 o'clock. I guess now might be more prone in English to say 7, but I was always taught that when it was on the hour, you add the o'clock, but I don't really do that anymore. Let me think here. Remember also, does anybody remember this thing about timestamps? You know, somebody tell me what a timestamp is?
He's saying something occurred at a certain time.
Right. Since Klingon really doesn't have tense, there's no, I mean, the only way to sort of determine exactly when something is happening is by paying attention to the timestamp. if there is one. And in Klingon, you don't say at 7 o'clock or on Monday or in January, right? These things are not said. You don't add these prepositions at the beginning to say this happened at this time. Instead, you say, you could say kash dit, right? Which would be similar to saying at, or khoyluk put dit when it is heard. But you can also just say shochvat rep. And then it's understood that it's and that comes at the beginning of the sentence, right? At the very beginning. So shochvat rep Klingon chol v'chad, right? Or rep shoch Klingon chol v'chad. I study Klingon on Monday. Dash jaj Klingon chol v'chad. In January, jar wa Klingon chol v'chad. I study Klingon in January. Okay. Tiago, can you tell me Ror Khuj Puk Puk? Ror Khuj Puk Puk.
Khuj. What is Khuj? Khuj.
Khuj. To play.
Yeah, to play. Okay.
So when do the children play?
Yeah. Wat mag waar loch gooi lupu.
Did. Right? Because right now, all you've heard, or all you're saying,
Yeah.
When you hear this, it is heard, you're actually saying it is 1,500 hours. Right. So you got to add that dit, which we haven't covered yet, I don't think, but dit means when or as soon as.
Mm-hmm.
So wat mag waar loch gooi dit. Caitlin.
Excuse me. Can we drop the D then? Because just told us it might be just as a timestamp, and would it be then just wat mag valov rep code?
Well, so when you use this construction of number lor, it is it's no longer a timestamp. You've made a statement. But you can say this, wat mag waar wat rep khuj puk puk.
Yeah.
That makes sense? The difference between the two? And feel free to use either of these, any of the forms that we've discussed, okay? Caitlin. Let me think. Or rech tar.
When does the targ rest? Right?
Play. Rech.
Okay. So, when does the targ play?
Mm-hmm.
So, mach wedge vac wama rosh rep.
Yeah,
and then it would rep, and then would we do rech pu di targ?
You've added in an unnecessary element here.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would be rech targ. So think of this as think of this as almost two different statements. I'm saying the time, then let me put the rep in with the I'm putting in the context. Okay, I've now said this is happening at 11:14. Now I'm saying what the actual action is, right? Think of it as like exposition, story. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. But the put det, remember, put det, that's fine. So if I was just saying 11, right?
Okay.
Chapmach wedgelor put det. So when it is heard 23 times, rechtarg. When it is heard 23 times, the targ plays.
Okay.
Awesome. Majkra. Let's talk about jarme. What's a jar?
Month?
Yeah.
Months?
So Terra, jarme et. So as for Terran months, we don't know much about the Klingon calendar, so let's not get into that. Let's just talk about the months that we know and love. So I already used the word for January earlier. Can somebody tell me what that was?
What jar? Or is it
Jar
jar?
Jar.
Jar.
Jarwa. Remember what I said earlier about douche wedge? So douche is a type of torpedo tube, and wedge is 3. So torpedo tube number 3 versus wedge douche, which would be 3 torpedo tubes. Right? So it's a little bit different. So here, wat jar means one month, and jarwa is
month number 1.
Month number 1. And all of the months follow this same pattern. So jarwa, jar cha, jar wedge, jar losh, jar wag, jar.
So it doesn't use dich? Like it doesn't say wadich?
No. Nope. It's just month number 1, month number 2, month number 3, month number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Goed. Goed. Jar watmach. Jar watmach wat. Jar watmach. That's it. And we've already learned the days of the week, but we probably should go ahead and review those. Caitlin, can you tell me what the word for Monday in Klingon is?
Oh.
It's okay if you don't remember it.
I do not remember Monday.
Yeah. Does anybody remember what Monday is?
Dash judge?
Yeah.
I only know that because you just used it.
Yeah.
Here.
Can somebody tell me what Tuesday is?
Povjaj.
Povjaj. Next, Wednesday. Does anybody know Wednesday? Nope. Ritjaj.
I'm not sure if we covered that already.
Oh, we haven't? I think we did.
I'm not sure.
So,
I think we didn't.
oh, we haven't? Okay, well,
Yeah.
doing it now.
Great.
So Povjaj is Monday. Povjaj is Tuesday. Ritjaj is Wednesday. Lorjaj is Thursday. Bukjaj is Friday. So you're noticing all, just like in English, we have day, 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 day at the end of all of these. Klingon has 2 words for Saturday. I know. They just like to complicate things, those Klingons. So we have Lojbajaj, literally door day. And we have Rinjaj, Saturday. And the only difference is that Lojmitjaj is used for more formal occasions and Rinjaj is used for informal. So you're more likely to see Lojmitjaj in, like, say, an official document. But Rinjaj, I would say in real world Klingon, Rinjaj is way more current. That's what I seem to notice. But could be wrong. And then Klingon weeks are actually only 6 days long, apparently. So Jajwa is Sunday, and it just means day one.
Day one.
Okay. Does that make sense to everybody?
So if
Why
I
is it-
wanted to say Sunday the 1st, would I say Wa Jajwa?
Let's
Josh, what?
yeah.
Sorry,
So
jumping ahead.
this
Sorry.
it's an interesting question that I think debate about. So I want to present it. Everybody has their own view, so I want to present it in a way that allows you to make up your own mind about what you think is that. But let's practice using these first. Right, Lit. I think you had a question.
Oh yeah, I was just asking, why is it day 1 instead of day 7? Because it follows then if there's an 8-day week, they'd use like day 8 or
in the
Because we start our calendars on
Sunday
Sunday.
on a week. Even though I tend to think of Monday as the first week because that's when everybody goes back to work. But
Same.
Sunday is the first day.
I know we count Sunday as the first, but like, why are Klingons considering it the
Well, and
first?
apparently Klingons do this like with any other. You're right. It would make more sense. I think the
Maybe first day after the Klingon days have gone.
I see that.
I think that might be it. Actually, there was some canonical explanation for it.
Yeah, I did see something about an 8-day week as well, or so on.
Yeah, so let's see. Okay, so according to Maltz, this is from Boekwit, the numbering of Sunday as day 1 may have been to cater to Americans who view it as the first day of the week. The Klingon week whole contains 6 days. Days beyond the 6 on alien calendars are simply numbered starting at Wa. So that's why.
Okay.
Okay, let's just practice using these real quick, and then we can.
I get always irritated at when I get the calendar from the US because it doesn't make any sense why Sunday should be the first day of the week. It's the day off. The first day of the week is obviously Monday. So I can never get the calendars from US because they're really irritating. Because you want to see Monday as the first day of the week, not Sunday, which is like the end of the whole day, the whole working week, and then you have the days off, and then you start with Monday.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Chiaga, how would I say I run on Tuesday?
I run on Tuesday. Both charge ticket.
Nudge, yes. Timestamp. Khebo, how would I say? Chait Jashlu. You read on Friday.
Sorry?
You read on Friday.
Book judge Bilad.
Not car. Caitlin. Chait Jashlu. Tard sleeps on Saturday.
In Judge Kong Targ.
Tar.
Targ.
Tar.
Targ.
Mad. Right lit. Chait Jashlu. The doctor helps patients on Wednesday.
Judge. I used to know these words.
Okay.
Should patient should forgot what 8 is, but khel.
Mm-hmm. Khel, and then the verb is either bok or
Oh, right.
let's say bok.
Khel.
Okay, so let's say you want to say March 2nd. There are two schools of thought. So Jod Wedge is March. We didn't argue about that. Now comes the part that people argue about. Personally, okay, so there's Jod Wedge, Jod Chop, Jod Wedge, Jod Chop Ditch. These are the two schools of thought. Personally, I fall into this because I don't like the ditch on there. But some people like the ditch and they'll use that. And part of the reason that I like the ditch is, well, what if instead of saying March 2nd, you want to say March 1st? Well, in this system, in my system, you could be saying one of two things. You could be saying March 1st, or you could be saying in March on a Sunday or on Sunday. So there are some merits to this. But Jamul, I am stubborn, and so I stick with this one. There you go.
Would a year come before the month or after the day?
So the way that works is the year comes, then the month, and then the day.
Okay, good. American culture is not completely corrupted. I'm serious.
Well, and the reason why it is like this is because biggest to smallest, right?
Yep.
Now, who knows how to say this? I'm gonna guess how to say the number right here.
I didn't got the words acoustically. It was a little bit bad, sorry.
I'm sorry?
I didn't hear you well.
Oh, I said, does anybody want to guess how we go ahead and pronounce, or how we say 2020 in this context?
Chama.
Chamach.
Chama.
Right. Well, in Klingon, when you say a dish, when you think about a year, you're going to say dish chapal, with these hyphens in between. You just say literally what the numbers are. So dish chapal in the year 2020 on January 4th. Right?
Okay.
So dish and this very relevant with the current reevaluation of a certain person who sailed in this year. Who can tell me what this number is?
1492.
192.
Yeah, 1492. Ish. I think. What's another year that a lot of people know?
Wa chot torchlosh.
I'm actually translating that right now. Which is the number? Yes, it goes in the public domain in January. So I am going to jump on it. What's this book that we're discussing here?
1984.
1984. Yes. Dish. Shoch. Jav.
1776.
Mm-hmm. Dish. Dish bear. Dish. I remember it's the name of a story that I translated, but I can't remember what it is. I can't remember the name of it is. Chorchut.
2889.
Yeah, 2889. Yeah. There's a story that I translated by Jules Verne, and it's called In the Year 2889. The way that I translated it is just year 2889, right? And there you go.
Will we say year 2000 just chop par par par?
Yep. Chop. Chop. par, par, par. Dish, chop, par, par, par.
But is that the best way to say it, or is completely forbidden to say 2000?
I remember this is the standard way to say it.
Okay.
There seems to be some people who still say dish, chop, shad, chop, mach, and there's nothing wrong with that. But dish, the other way is a lot more current. Like people will say it that way. Yeah. Y'all, we're almost out of time, but does anybody have any questions about? Yes, Krebo.
I have a question that's related to time. We probably cannot use. Will it be too much of an English way to say if you wanted to say, "Well, I don't have time"?
Oh,
because you don't own the time, or can you say it just like in English?
I'm lacking the time.
And when you say you have the time, do you say just radio or something else?
Yeah. Remember, in universe it is Klingon is an alien language, but it's also, in real world life it's actually being spoken by people, and a lot of those people are English, German speakers, and they end up affecting the language and making it more English than it might otherwise be. But so there are some things where there are direct English calcs. One of the things that I want to make, and I keep on saying this in different ways throughout all the different lessons, is that I want to make sure that when in August, when we do our last thing, y'all can go out and actually speak to people and know what they're saying, rather than there's some people who are very attached to simply sticking with canon, and canon is very important in Klingon, and it's really kind of what binds us all together. There was a gentleman called Glenn Purcell who in the 90s was one of the very early Klingon speakers. There was a Klingon language camp in Minnesota, and he, along with Angral, who is the head of the KLI, and Hod Krankor, Captain Krankor, they all did this Klingon language camp, and he was very involved. But then he kind of split off and did his own thing, and he sort of like filled in the gaps of the language, if you will, with his own stuff. But the result was that nobody could really understand what he was saying. So canon is important for that reason, that we all need to understand, and we all need to have common reference, since we're all sort of spread out across the globe. At the same time, I also want to share with you my viewpoint that it is a living language, and so knowledge of how actual speakers use the language is also important, I think. And to use it, you need to make assumptions. And one of the frustrating things about Klingon is that you can say something, and then later on, Maltz might come back and just make an assumption, and Maltz might come back and say, "Oh, that's actually not how you say it. You say it this way or that way." One of the times I was frustrated by that was I translated a text, and I translated it before I kept "ah," and before that kept "ah" in question, we had no way of saying "discuss" to talk about something that takes an object. So one of the common ways to say it back then was white hotel. So we consider something majat tachvish or majat chuk tachvish. So as we're conferring, we consider this. So that was a common way to get around the fact that we didn't really have a single word for it to discuss. Then the kap'a came around, and we got that word. And all of a sudden, the text where this phrase "discuss" comes up like a gazillion times
it made my text obsolete, so I had to go back and I had to change it, and it was a big pain in the butt. Which is both, so new information from moths is both a blessing and a curse.
Oh,
Okay. We're about out of time, but it was a good lesson. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let's talk more about time phrases next week. And we'll get into some other stuff too. We'll probably talk about those syntax markers next week because those are starting to get a little bit important. Is everybody okay on learning like vocabulary? Have you been studying most days? Most days, maybe? No? That's what it's going to take? Yeah.
Working on it.
Yeah, I can only do so much in an hour and 30 every week. So it's really going to... I think it's the toughest part of learning Klingon is memorizing all the vocabulary. Yeah.
Does anybody use Quizlet?
I took the Excel spreadsheet of words that we had, and I made that into flashcards on Excel.
That's fine.
You
And
can import it onto Quizlet pretty seamlessly, and it will just treat it as fluency drills.
the problem with it is that I have too many words in the word list, and so they tend to not come up frequently to keep sticking my
I
head.
use several memorized decks, and it's been very fun.
Cool.
Also.
Yeah, it's better if you like think of it as a game rather than like a chore.
Yeah.
That's how I like to think of it. I still
Yeah.
do memorize most days, or I try to at least, because some words I use every day, and other words, like douche, I don't really use all that much. Douche is a torpedo tube. I don't really use that often, but I'd like to remember it if ever I need it. Or nav, which is a very specific word. It means writer's cramp. I actually used that for, I think, the second time, unjokingly, about a week ago. So
Translate a tech manual, and then you have all the tech words.
And then, did anybody start a journal?
Yes.
Yeah, you did? Cool. Awesome.
Yes.
Those.
To what? What did you say?
Feel free to send me pictures of those. I'd love to take a look at them and say, oh, you say it this way, but you might actually want to consider saying that. Whatever,
I will. There's a few things that I actually want to run by you.
Oh, wow.
So I'll send it to you via email, but I need to fix my dates.
All
right.
Gosh. Oh, you. So now that we've gone over how to write dates, we can. You can safely write them without worrying.
Yeah, they're bad. I'm looking at them right now. It's like, oh, it would. What's the word I would look for? Is cry shock? It would shock more poor Destu. So I'm so sorry. I have to get going, but I'm gonna correct that and send that to you.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Just before y'all left, I just wanted to take out my journal, which is all in. And this is just what personally I use Picard. This is what my journal looks like, just to show you that I'm doing exactly what I'm asking you to do. I tend to write in Klingon like most days, and it's just a good way to speak to just describe what is going on in the world around me, in this awesome, amazing language. So, and a good excuse to use vocabulary that I would not perhaps otherwise be using on a regular basis. There you go. Much.
Much.
Thanks.